Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV, and welcome to my very special guest, the amazing author, Alex White. How are you, mate?
Nice to be here. I'm doing pretty great. I've got a book coming out next month at the time of this recording.
Fantastic. Well, that's the all important thing. Now, you were born in Mississippi and raised in the South.
Uh-huh.
You're the author of the Salvages trilogy, yeah,
Yes.
which began with a big ship at the edge of the universe. Am I right?
Correct.
Fantastic book. And you're also the much lauded author of Alien: The Cold Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one blew up, didn't it?
it really did. No, it really did. And of course, now we're here to talk about your new Alien book from my colleagues, the team at Titan Books, Alien into Charybdis. So, as a way of getting into this, Alex, what can you tell me about Alien into Charybdis and its relationship or not with the Cold Forge?
I don't know. What can I tell you about that? I don't know if yeah, this is oh my gosh.
It's always the trick, isn't it? So
Yeah,
I
this
guess
was the thing we didn't yeah, there's
we
a
didn't have the team talk beforehand where we said you can talk about, but I'm thinking that the sensible thing to do would be, I have a very meaty synopsis here, but I don't just want to read it. I think to
no.
synopsize it without getting into any spoilers, as we say, I think that would be the right way to move forward into the conversation.
Let me just answer your question with this.
Yeah.
Okay. I love to make references. There are so many references buried in every single page that I can in the book. If I can think of a way to slip an inside joke in there about Alien, I'm gonna go for it. And so you better believe that as soon as my book became part of the Alien timeline, I was gonna start referencing it. So you can get more out of the story if you read the Cold Forge. There's a whole lot more to the story if you read the Cold Forge. If you don't have to. I wrote it so that it wouldn't be required reading because I want you to feel free to dive into my Aliens books wherever you like. And hopefully one will sell you the other.
I like the way you think, and in fact, links to purchase both the Cold Forge and Into Charybdis are going to be attached to this interview. So that's the perfect thing to do if you're watching
Yeah,
this
yeah.
conversation. Pick them both up. But even though they're not necessarily reliant upon each other as an experience, the fact that they're interlinked to a degree, I think that would be the wise thing to do. Just buy both of those books right now. They're right here.
That's right. What are you waiting for? Yeah, I one of the things I love about the Cold Forge is it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. If they're like, "What book do you want to start with?" I'm always like, "Do you like Alien?" Because that one is like perfect price point to give it a shot, right? Like, how wrong could you be? You should buy the Cold
Yeah.
Forge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how did your involvement with Alien start? When did you first become aware of it as a kind of a franchise and a set of narrative? What was
Oh,
your
like as a
first
person?
exposure? Yeah, as a person, as a human
Oh,
being.
okay. Yeah. So we had these friends of the family who had just like the perfect 80s taste in action movies, 80s, 90s taste in action movies. And so they kind of introduced me with Terminator 2. And I was like allowed to watch that. That's how young I was at the time, right? And I just was like, "What else you got?" And he immediately put me on to Alien, and it was the weirdest thing I ever saw in my entire life at that point.
Yeah, I believe it.
It was so wild because you go from not seeing any action movies to Alien, and
Yeah, no, you go from 0 to 100. You
I
know,
know. Well, and Cameron really steps on the gas in Terminator 2, right? So
right
like,
on, he does. Yeah,
so I went into Alien thinking it was going to be like Aliens ended up being. And I was so like for 45 minutes I was just
yeah,
is something
yeah,
going to happen?
yeah,
These people are just talking about their jobs.
yeah.
But the older I got, the more I really started to enjoy that 45 minutes of just like world building and just exceptional understanding of how damaging certain types of governance can be to people. you know, I really got into the corporate dystopia nature of it, especially through the Dark Horse comics in the 90s. I mean, I paid some obscene prices to collect pieces of Earth War, you
Oh
know.
yeah, they're great books though. They really are
Yeah, and I
exceptional
lost them.
pieces of work. I think the thing about the original Alien as somebody who, saw it at the cinema at college or what have you when it first came out. I think you've tapped upon one of the reasons why, for me, I love the Alien movies, and I love Aliens for a bunch of different reasons. But the reason Alien itself is a masterpiece and kind of sits in a different the category of masterpiece, as well as being a great movie, is that first 45 minutes. The older you get, as you watch that, it's actually incredibly unsettling.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I live here.
Yeah, yeah. And
right, like that's
all those panning shots down just through the Nostromo before they wake up. It's like, holy fuck, this doesn't feel good. This feels like this Shining. What's going to happen? There's that overwhelming sense of dread. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, like all of the dystopian forces of their world are forces that you already live inside of.
Yes.
And so every time you start to compare their lives to yours, the comparison is too easy the older you get.
Right, yeah,
and you're just like, I could totally see myself dying this way.
yeah, totally. It's the mundanity of their relationships with each other, the crew. It's so, it's just such a slice of life. Like, oh, these are just 6 people who work together, but they're on a spaceship, and that normality, I think, really doubles down on the horror when it starts to kick in.
Absolutely. And I think writers like King oftentimes kind of rely on that too, where they try to build up this sense of like, you live here, it's okay, these are real people, now I will kill them, kind of.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. That was one of the things that I really wanted to go for with both of my books, was trying to capture that, like, this is a real job that real people were doing, in this book series. And so I always I would research a lot with modern professionals in the fields that I was talking about, whether we're talking about geology or nuclear science or whatever, try and talk to these people who have these kinds of jobs. And I also have a lot of experience as an industrial photographer, and so I got to be around a whole lot of these kinds of huge rigs that inspire these sci-fi authors to when you see a sense of scale. I got to tour the Deepwater Horizon's crew quarters before it was attached to the ill-fated Deepwater Horizon, for example.
But what an amazing experience. I mean, that must have been like living inside a James Cameron movie.
It absolutely
like being inside
was.
The abyss.
There was nothing better about it too, because like first of all, you get in there and there are 2 different colors of lights inside of a lot of oil rigs, especially tension like platforms like the ones we were filming inside of. And so and so on the camera, if you're correctly balanced for like the sodium halogen lights, everything looks, this is like aqua wash green on everything. Like it's this beautiful kind of oceanic tint, and it's just like all your footage comes out looking great, like you color corrected it, as long as nobody walks through the frame with gray skin, basically.
Yeah.
No, that kind of stuff was great. And I mean, we got to shoot off of helicopters with like stabilized gyro stabilized mounts and things like that. So there were a lot of really cool experiences with large scale equipment, large scale facilities of all different stripes. And I've always been fascinated, especially with manufacturing facilities, that kind of stuff. And so I'm always trying to find kind of to bring in everybody's every day that I can. And Into Charybdis is no different. I mean, so the main characters of this story are they're 2 sets of people. On one side we have an American contracting crew. They're basically the HVAC repair people. Okay, like that's their job. I love having a bunch of ventilation duct specialists in my Alien novel. One of the things that I like about living around here is that, as zany as it can be in the Deep South, we do have people who will try to fix anything, and some of them will succeed.
Yeah.
and I like that kind of spirit in an alien crew to some extent, like that just willingness to be like, okay, well, I'll go down there and reboot the cylinders or whatever they have to do, and I like to have kind of a variety of relationships, exactly the same way that you see in kind of the Nostromo. But where the story kind of diverts is the other kind of main character is this guy Kamran Afganzadeh, which is he's a like a nuclear scientist turned project manager at an Iranian-owned data facility, data storage facility, basically like a web host. And so he's got it's basically he works on the power plant and the atmospheric generators that power the place. And he has his whole team of roughnecks that he works with as well. And essentially, these two crews are fated to meet at this planet that goes by the name Charybdis, because there's a giant hole in the lake that is the size of the ocean, and all this water kind of constantly rushes into it, but nobody's really sure where. We have a couple of those in real life on Earth, where if you fell in, we wouldn't know where your body went.
Wow. Okay.
And it would be like gone.
Yeah.
Some of those places are actually inside of the ocean, and you wouldn't necessarily see them as you were trying to pass by them.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
That's a rather scary prospect. That has to be said.
Right. There's that stream in England, right, where if you, it's that suicide stream. I forget what it's called, but like if you fell in, you're just gone.
Yeah.
Like it looks fairly placid, but it's actually a canyon with a fast-moving current.
Yeah, because I mean, England has quite a lot of these like tidal rivers. I grew up by one actually. The Mersey and the Thames in London is the same. You really can't swim across them. You can't get from one side to the other because the undertow takes you down, and you know. Apparently, you know, it's all littered with like rotting corpses at the base. You know, it's never surface.
Oh, imagine that's your last moments, like getting hit into the rotting corpses. That's not great.
Just not the best, really.
You know, but I gotta tell you, it's exactly that kind of disturbing thought that I was like, oh, that's the perfect setting for a horror novel. So, you know, the thing is, they, of course, being human engineers, we put a hydroelectric generation facility inside of this thing and use it for data cooling heat exchangers.
Yeah,
because you know, why not? We got to run some server farms.
Why not turn a profit? Yeah.
and so anyway, yeah. Obviously, aliens get out at some point. That's not great for the paranoia levels of the crews, and some dynamics happen. I don't want to spoil anything.
No, I think it's I think your synopsis thus far is truly compelling, and I very much feel the through line from your earlier employment out on those rigs to what you're describing here. You know, I can feel the connectivity between those things.
Oh yeah, I want to capture. I loved industrial photography, and working as a stringer for you know, things like the National Geographic's channel. Well, it's just Nat Geo, right? You know, but we would, you know, working as a stringer on things like Modern Marvels, you know, you get to see some really beautifully large things and just some incredible feats of human ingenuity. And so, like, I don't really think anything's past us. I don't know that we have great ideas, but I think we can do them, pretty much all of them.
I think that is such an interesting way to look at it. And before we go, I guess my final sort of alien question for you is, throughout, outside of your own novels, is there one particular alien character you've encountered within the alien mythos that you think that's somebody that, you know, I've always found to be fascinating and appealing, and someone who speaks to me?
Oh, sure. Well, everybody's got to talk about, you know, Paul Church, the evil doctor from Labyrinth. I mean, that guy's terrifying. But like at the same time, he's got this like backstory where you feel a little bad for him.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a that character was really gripping, and it was such an anti-hero kind of way, because I can't remember the names of the heroes from that story.
Right. He completely dominates.
Just absolutely erased them. And you know, I really definitely wanted to have something like that in Cold Forge, you know, where it was just like, I wanted to have this villain that you would just, I love having him on the page, but I hate him so much. So there are kind of two things about this book that I found to be really important while I was writing it. One is that it's the Cold Forge was very inspired by Alien. Into Charybdis is very inspired by Aliens. And so as one is in conversation with one of your favorite movies, the other one is in conversation with the other favorite of your movies. You know, And so it's really built around assuming that A, you've seen the movies, so you'd see all those sucker punches coming, and B, you've read the Cold Forge, so if I did another, super addictive villain, whatever, you wouldn't go for it. It's essentially I'm trying to tread new ground, so to speak. And I built the dynamics of the books like totally differently.
If you're at all intrigued by this conversation, you would really be doing yourself a massive favor going to the links below and picking up Alien into Charybdis, and also picking up, if you've not read it, The Cold Forge. Two exceptional novels, which my colleagues at Titan Books are privileged, proud to be publishing. And Alex, thank you so much for shaking out the time to talk to us about the books, mate. It's really great to see you. It's really, really great to hang out and have a chat, and I look forward to doing it again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.